You're trying to get people to come together. You're trying to get people to cooperate, but everybody just wants to do their own thing. I totally get that energy. I've experienced it myself, but here's the thing, it's completely normal, and history shows us why. We can build parallel systems that put people before profit because a small town in Spain has proved it. In 1956, in the aftermath of a civil war and World War II, the people of Mondragon were living under a dictatorship. They were struggling with mass unemployment, extreme poverty, and limited access to opportunities with no support coming from government. And only when every other option failed, 5 workers decided to become collective entrepreneurs and build their own system. In my earlier video, you would have heard me talk about Jose Maria Arizmendi Arrieta, who created a technical school to help lift working class youth into skilled roles. The school was funded, owned, and democratically run by him and the wider community. It gave ordinary young men access to education normally reserved for higher classes. He built a culture of critical thinking and social responsibility there that would transform the town in ways never seen before. Out of the many students that attended this school, 5 founders would create the first worker cooperative of what would become a network of 100 worker cooperatives that founded their own healthcare system, their own bank, their own welfare system, their own education system, the works. But the founders didn't intend to start a co-op, not at the start. Their first goal was simply to gain ownership within the existing system. They and many others were employed by the town's most dominant industrial employer, Union Carajara. Now, Union Carajara had planned to expand, meaning that new shares would be issued. This created what they thought would be a real opportunity for worker ownership. A large group of workers proposed that they buy those shares, which was a reasonable request aligned with the expansion. However, the management rejected the proposal outright, closing the door to worker ownership permanently. They tried escalating it to government, but the proposal got buried. There was no political route. They were completely ignored. It was only at that moment that they decided to become collective entrepreneurs and create something new. It was not out of ideology, it was because every other option had failed. Arizmendi guided them towards building it as a cooperative, and that was the moment when they became collective entrepreneurs. Remember, all of this is happening under dictatorship, so creating new organizations is difficult and very risky. All of that to say that most people respond to exclusion with protest. Very few people decide to build something better for themselves. The Mondragon founders chose creation over complaining. If you won't let us in, we'll build our own. If your community isn't engaging with the idea of cooperation, do not be discouraged. It may be because they still believe they have other viable options. We're actually not behind. We're ahead of the curve. We're laying the foundations for when others are ready. We must not wait for crisis before we act. We must build now while the option still exists.